Good morning students, welcome to the class. Today we are going to discuss about the next chapter revision, that is biotechnology principle and processes. So to begin with, we will start discussing some of the assertion reason type question. The first question is, in recombinant DNA technology assertion, human genes are often transferred into bacteria or yeast. That is correct. We are transferring the gene of interest, desired gene, into either bacteria or yeast. We are transferring, isn't it? Reason, both bacteria and yeast multiply very fast to form huge population. Yes, why we are using bacteria or yeast? Because I have to get one particular product, like for example I want insulin or any enzyme has to be produced in bioreactor using downstream processing and all. The thing is, they have to multiply at a very alarming rate so that the genes are getting expressed and the product is produced in huge amount, isn't it? So usually what we do? We select the organisms which multiplies very fast. So both the statements are correct. That's why the answer will be A. Hope it's clear. So the first answer is A. The next question is your recognition site should be preferably single. What is the next term? Recognition site. Recognition site, you know, the site where we are going to introduce our foreign DNA. So that site we call it as the recognition site, isn't it? So that recognition site should be single. I told you it should be one single site is very good. If they have multiple sites, then multiple fragments will be made, isn't it? So single sited groups, and it is responsive to commonly used restriction enzyme, and they have to respond to the restriction enzyme. So the first statement is correct. What is the second statement? The reason what is given is that in PBR 322, alien DNA is ligated generally in the area of BAM-HI. Yes, in the BAM-HI site only for tetracycline resistant, that selectable marker, that site only the desired gene is inserted. So this reason is also, the statement is correct. But whether the reason is the explanation for the assertion, no. Recognition site should be single, that it has to justify, but this reason is not justifying that why it should be single. So if it is the reason should be what? The reason should be, if it is only single, multiple fragments will not be created, so that we can insert it easily and ligate it easily. If multiple fragments are there, then it will be difficult. That should be the answer, right? Reason, right? So that is not the reason. But both the statement, whether it is correct, yes, it is correct. So what will be the answer? Both assertion and reason is correct, but reason is not the correct explanation for assertion. So the answer will be B. So what is the answer? It is B. Okay. Now we are moving on to the third question. The third question is plasmids are single-stranded extra chromosomal DNA. Reason, plasmids are found in eukaryotic cells. So answer as such, you know, first assertion is that whether plasmids are single-stranded? No, they are double-stranded DNA, extra chromosomal DNA. So the first is wrong. Second, plasmids are found in eukaryotic cells? No, they are found in bacterial cells. Both are wrong. So the answer will be D. Okay. Now moving on to the next question. Asexual reproduction preserves genetic information. Reason, sexual reproduction permits variation. See, asexual reproduction, obviously from the parent two daughter cells are formed, and these two daughter cells have the characteristics of the parent. This is correct. Genetic information of the parent is preserved. Sexual reproduction, actually variation is possible, yes. So one is maternal, another one is paternal. Both, when you are seeing the baby which is formed having the characteristics of both maternal and paternal, because of some regions called as what? Where in there you can find the crossing over is taking place, which is leading to variation. So here meiosis is taking place, crossing over is taking place. Last year we have learned, isn't it? So when crossing over is taking place, the individual become different from that of their parents. So in sexual reproduction, variation is possible. Both the statements, when you are seeing, again I say the both the statements are correct, but whether reason is correct explanation for assertion, no. So it will be B. Okay. Why? Because second statement is speaking about sexual reproduction, and the assertion is speaking about asexual reproduction. So both the statements are correct, but the reason is not correct for assertion. Okay. Next question is, genetic engineering overcomes the drawback of traditional hybridization. You know what is traditional hybridization? So A, plant, okay, plant A with high yielding, another one with disease resistant plant B. Pollen grain from one is deposited over the stigma of the other, and I am getting a plant C which is having characteristics of both A and B. So that is traditional hybridization. What is the disadvantage here? One drawback is there. What is the drawback? If A is high yielding, but if it is having some bad characters, that character can also come to C. B is disease resistant, but after they may also have some bad character that can come here, isn't it? So the C will have good characters as well as some of the bad characters of these two. So whether it is good, no, not that good, isn't it? So genetic engineering, when you are using, whether it is good or not, yes, only desired genes I am taking and then I am introducing the gene so that my gene is getting expressed. All the undesirable gene can also be eliminated with the help of genetic engineering, because we are just cutting and pasting. So which is good? The genetic engineering, yeah, they are overcoming the problem of what? The traditional hybridization. First is correct. Genetic engineering involves a creation of a rDNA and introduce desirable gene into the target organ. Yes, genetic engineering, what we are doing? We are making a rDNA and that DNA is introduced into the target organ so that our character is represented. So the answer will be what? A, isn't it? A, both the statements are correct and the reason is also correct, because in genetic engineering we are making an rDNA. rDNA carry the following gene, so that the genetic engineering is better compared to what? The traditional hybridization. Only the desired gene is expressed, the undesirable genes are eliminated. Okay, so the answer will be A. The next is your assertion A. rDNA technology has become successful because of the presence of restriction endonuclease in eukaryotic cells. Wrong. Restriction endonuclease are not present, we used to put it. So this restriction endonuclease is not present in eukaryotes. So in the bacterial cells you can find it, isn't it? So the first statement is wrong. Second, restriction enzyme cut the DNA molecule to form blunt ends? No, they are helping in forming sticky ends. So that is also wrong. So both are wrong. So the answer is D. Okay. Next, moving on to 7. The cut pieces of DNA in the plasmid is linked into the plasmid DNA. Plasmid DNA fails to act as a vector. So this is wrong. Plasmid DNA is a vector. They are saying fails to act as a vector. So that is wrong. Assertion, the cut piece of DNA is linked with the plasmid. Yes, the cut piece of DNA, foreign DNA, is linked with the plasmid DNA. So the first answer is correct, isn't it? So your cut piece assertion is correct, reason is false. So it will be C. Assertion is correct and reason is false. Okay. Next, moving on to the next question. Exonuclease remove nucleotides from the ends of the DNA. Correct. Exonuclease is removing from the ends. We have learned two classes of restriction enzyme. One is exonuclease and another one is endonuclease. Exonuclease moves from the end, removes from the end, and endonuclease, they make cuts and makes sticky ends where they makes in between, isn't it? So at specific locations they are making it. So what is the next thing they have said? Endonuclease makes cut at the specific location within the DNA. Yes. So both are correct statement. One is exonuclease ends and endonuclease within. But the problem is that one is saying something about endonuclease and one is saying something about exonuclease. So the reason is not correct. That's why the answer will be B. Clear? So hope these assertion and reason question you have understood. Next, we are moving on to some of the one-word questions from this chapter, Biotechnology Principle and Processes. The first question is, a restriction enzyme digests DNA into fragment. Name the technique used to check the progression of this enzyme and separate DNA fragments. Separating DNA fragments. So I have applied restriction enzyme, I have made fragments, I have to separate this DNA fragments. What is the procedure used? We have learned gel electrophoresis. What is the answer? Gel electrophoresis. In order to separate, we have to put them in a gel electrophoresis. All the bands based on their molecular weight, they will be getting separated, isn't it? So that is gel electrophoresis. Name two commonly used vectors in genetic engineering. What are the two commonly used vectors? One is plasmid and another one is bacteriophage. You need to know. Okay. Some enzymes are considered as molecular scissors in genetic engineering. What is the name assigned to such enzymes? Molecular scissors are restriction enzymes, right? Next, Write conventional nomenclature of ECO-R1. So, ECO-R1, how do I represent? Means ECO-R1 is the representation. Actually, what each and every word is standing for, that is the question. Nomenclature, naming, how it is given. Okay. So, the number 1 is E is standing for wash, E is standing for Escherichia, CO is standing for coli, R is the strain, isn't it? Name of the strain, and 1 is the order in which the restriction enzyme is isolated from that strain of bacteria. Okay. First it is isolated, number 1, maybe ECO-R2 means what? The second enzyme getting it from where? This strain of bacteria. So, since it is first, its position. Okay. So, order in which the enzyme is isolated from the strain of bacteria. So, the full nomenclature is given. Now, we are moving on to the next question. A linear DNA fragment and a plasmid has 3 restriction sites for ECO-R1. How many fragments will be produced from linear and the plasmid respectively? So, what they are saying, one is linear DNA, another one is plasmid DNA. Both are having 3 restriction sites. So, number 1, 2 and 3 restriction site, 1, 2 and 3 restriction sites. Okay. So, how many fragments will be produced by linear and how many fragments will be produced by plasmid? Okay. See how many fragments will be produced by linear if there is 3 restriction enzyme. This is 1 fragment, this is the second fragment, this is 1, this is 2, this is the third fragment and this one is the fourth fragment. So, linear how many they are producing? 4. Now, plasmid how many they are producing? 1, right, 2, so 1, 2 and this one is 3. So, number of fragments produced by plasmid is how many? It is producing 3. Okay. Fine. Now, next question. An extra chromosomal segment of circular DNA of a bacterium. What do we call? Carrying gene of interest, we know it. Plasmid. Extra chromosomal DNA is the plasmid. Now, moving on to the next question. Name the substance used as a medium in gel electrophoresis. In gel electrophoresis, what is the medium we are using? Agarose gel, isn't it? So, agarose. Agar got from algae. Agarose is used. So, the answer is agarose. Next question is, what is bioconversion? See, bioconversion is equivalent to bioreactor. So, you know what is bioconversion? Converting some raw materials into particular products and thereafter separating it out, downstreaming it out. That process we call it as what? Bioconversion. So, to write it down properly, bioconversion refers to the process by which raw materials are converted into specific products. Okay. So, the raw materials are present that are converted into specific products. By using this rDNA technology, I am making microbes, plants, animals which are transformants and they are giving rise to specific products. So, that process we call it as what? Bioconversion. Okay, this is a new term, just make a note of it. Next, name the bacteria that yields thermostable DNA polymerase. We know Thermus aquaticus. They are thermostable in nature. They can resist high temperature. Okay. Next, which enzymes are called as molecular scissors? Have discussed. Restriction endonuclease. Name the commonly used vector for transformation in plant cell. So, in plant cells, what is the vector we are using? Agrobacterium tumefacium. In animals, what we are using? We are using retroviruses, isn't it, for introducing the foreign DNA. In case of animals, we are using retrovirus. In case of plants, we are using Agrobacterium tumefacium. If I want to introduce into the bacteria, who I will choose? I will be choosing, who is that? That is bacteriophage. Whom we will be choosing? We will be choosing bacteriophage. Okay. The next question is, name the technique used for amplification of DNA. You know, I am getting a segment of DNA. I want to make many copies. That is what we call it as amplification. Okay. Increasing the number. So, for that, what is the technique we are using? We are using polymerase chain reaction. Okay. Name the enzyme responsible for removal of 5-phosphate group from nucleic acid. Okay. So, in order to remove the phosphate group, what is the enzyme used? It is a new term, learn. It is alkaline phosphate. What is the answer? Alkaline phosphates. Okay. Who isolated restriction enzyme for the first time? Again, Warner Erber and Hamilton Smith. Learn. Why do eukaryotic cells do not contain restriction enzyme? This is again a new one. Because in eukaryotic cell, the DNA is highly methylated. That is why they do not contain a restriction enzyme. Okay, it is highly methylated. That is the term which you have to write. Highly, they are having surrounded by methyl group. Okay. Why does DNA moves towards anode and gel electrophoresis? You know, anode, why they are moving? Because DNA is negatively charged. So when electricity is applied, they move towards positively charged electrode, anode. Okay. Now next is your 2-mark question. First question is, name 2 main steps which are collectively referred to as downstream processing. Downstream processing, you know what is downstream processing? So bioreactor, isn't it? So I have made my foreign DNA, I have introduced it into the vector, thereafter into the host I am going to introduce. So in order to take out the product, what we will do, we will put it in a bioreactor, isn't it? And I will give them all the facilities so that the microorganism, that is the bacteria, is multiplying and they are producing my product. So downstream processing is referring to 2 techniques. What are they? Learn very carefully. The thing is, one is your separation and another one is your purification. So what is the first one? The first one is your separation and the second one is your purification. Okay. So what do you mean by the separation and purification? Separation means, so this is the bioreactor. Here the microorganism are there. I am giving them food, everything, making them multiply, and this microorganism is producing my product. Okay. Whichever product I want to produce, that gene is present there, that product will be produced. This product I have to separate it out. That is the first process. After separating this product, I have to purify the product so that it can be sent into the market, isn't it? So purifying, we have to go for very clinical trials, testing, everything has to be done. Quality control, every measurements has to be taken. Thereafter we are giving it. That process we call it as what? Purification. So one is separation and second one is purification, right? So that is the downstream processing dealing with. How does plasmid differ from chromosomal DNA? Plasmid DNA, how it is different from chromosomal DNA? Plasmid DNA is circular in nature, chromosomal DNA is linear, isn't it? Occurs only in bacterial cells, this plasmid DNA. Chromosome, when you are seeing, it is occurring in both eukaryotic cells also, bacterial cells also. Plasmid DNA, we can use it as a vector, but chromosomal DNA, we cannot use it as a vector in rDNA technology, right? That is the answer. So any 2 points you can refer. Name 2 classes of restriction enzymes, charges their respective roles. So 2 classes, one is exonuclease and another one is endonuclease. Exonuclease cuts at the end and endonuclease in between. So this again, in the given process of separation and isolation of DNA fragments, some of the steps are missing. Complete the missing steps. Okay. First, what they are doing, they are digesting the DNA into fragments with the help of restriction endonuclease. So first is over. They have digested the DNA into many fragments. The fragments are available. Now what we will do, we will take these fragments and put it in agarose gel, isn't it? So the next answer will be what? Agarose gel. So what will be B? The B will be agarose gel. After putting it in an agarose gel, what we are doing, that the DNA particles will be moving in the agarose gel towards the positively charged anode. So when these particles are moving, the smaller the fragments, the less weight, molecular weight it will be. So they will be moving faster. The larger particles, molecular weight particles, will be at the near the well only, isn't it? So after moving to some to some locations, what we have to do, we have to visualize it. For that, what we have to do first we have to stain it with ethidium bromide. You have learned. Second, we will expose it to UV light, isn't it? So all this DNA fragments will be visible now. What is the next step then? It will be elution, isn't it? So I want to take that DNA fragment out. That process we call it as what? We call it as elution. So elution will be E, elution. Then purification of DNA fragment. Thereafter, after eluting it out, the DNA fragment is purified. Okay. So these are the process missing points. So first one was B is your gel electrophoresis and E is your elution. Write any 2 properties of restriction endonuclease enzyme. What does restriction endonuclease do? They inspect, everywhere they will be just inspecting in the DNA sequence where to go and cut. So wherever they are finding that locations, there they will go and bind, isn't it? So the restriction enzyme will bind to those DNA segments and there where the recognition sequence is present. After binding, second point is what? It will cut the 2 strands of DNA at specific point, okay, by breaking what? In the sugar phosphate bond they are cutting it, okay. So that is regarding the next question. What are selectable markers? Okay, what is their use in genetic engineering? You know what is the role of selectable marker? Selectable marker is used as what? To find out whether a particle means whether the foreign DNA is there in my vector or not, isn't it? So for that selectable marker we have learned what we are doing. We are introducing the foreign DNA into the plasmid and thereafter the plasmid is introduced into the bacteria. We are allowing this bacteria to multiply, isn't it? So this bacteria when they are multiplying, I find to find out which bacteria is having my foreign DNA. For that what we need? We need some markers so that I can identify whether this DNA, foreign DNA is present in this bacteria or not, in this bacteria it is present or not. For that we are using what? The selectable markers in the plasmids, isn't it? So what are the selectable markers we have learned? We have learned 2. One is the antibiotic resistant marker, isn't it? Tetracycline resistant or ampicillin resistant. So that is one process. Another one method by which we can use it as selectable marker is insertional inactivation, a gene which is coding for beta galactosidase. If the foreign DNA is there, then the blue colony will not be present, isn't it? Because beta galactosidase, in that place only we are introducing. If beta galactosidase enzyme is produced, the organisms will be blue in color. If it is not there, then the organism will be what? It is colorless. So my foreign gene where and all is present, that colony, that bacteria will be colorless. Wherever my foreign gene is not present, that bacteria will be blue color. So insertional inactivation. So what is the role of selectable marker? They are helping in selecting, making us select the one which is transformants, which is having my foreign DNA, and one which is non-transformants, that is which is not having my foreign DNA, okay. How can desired products be desired product formed after genetic engineering? We processed on commercial scale, we have learned separation, purification, bio reactor, downstream processing, you have to explain, okay. What is insertional inactivation? I just told you. So in this, for example, this is the plasmid and this is having a gene which is coding for what? Beta galactosidase. So this gene sequence, this DNA sequence is taken, in that my foreign DNA is introduced and then it is introduced into a vector. The vector is allowed to multiply. So wherever you can find the vector is producing blue colony, which means that beta galactosidase is still there. So it is not having my foreign DNA. So they are non-transformant. They are what? Non-transformant. Wherever there are colorless colonies, which means that beta galactosidase is not working, which means that my foreign DNA is present there. So they are transformants, okay. So that process we call it as what? Insertional inactivation. I am inserting my foreign DNA into a segment which is inactivating that gene sequence, which is inactivated, beta galactosidase is inactivated, okay. So that is insertional inactivation, very important question. Moving on to the next is, what are the 2 basic techniques used in modern biotechnology? You know, one is your rDNA technology, second one is downstream processing. Nowadays we are aiming to produce many materials, many things like lipase enzyme for industries, for making dyes, for making medicines, okay, cosmetics, all are dependent on what? This rDNA technology, that is genetic engineering. And for production under large scale, we have to go for what? Bioreactors. So downstream processing. These are the 2 areas where modern biotechnology is giving much importance to, okay. Next question, represent diagrammatically the E. coli vector PBR 322, that you have to draw and practice, very important, you have to draw, okay. Differentiate between plasmid DNA and chromosomal DNA, we have already discussed. What is the role of enzyme ligase in genetic engineering? Ligase, you know what is ligase doing? They are helping in joining, isn't it? So they are acting as suture. Suture means, you know, they stitch and paste it. So that is the function. So ligase, what they are doing is that, so you know, I am taking out the plasmid, making a cut, isn't it? So after making a cut in that particular position, I am taking out the that segment of DNA and I am introducing my foreign DNA here. After introducing, just like that they will remain attached to? No, I have to add this DNA ligase. So this ligase will join those bonds, isn't it? Phosphodiester bond is getting joined, because of which you can find they are getting attached to that vector, isn't it? Plasmid, right? So that is the role of this ligase. So ligase act as molecular sutures which helps in joining two pieces of DNA. So for this, what is needed? Energy is needed. Why? In order to construct the bonding. Bond should be made, isn't it? Phosphodiester bond should be made. So for that, when you are saying this energy is needed, that is the role of this ligase. The following proteins of given molecular weight are subjected to gel electrophoresis. Write down the sequence in which the proteins are isolated in a gel. See, when we have already discussed in the gel electrophoresis, when I am putting particles into the well, the heavier particle will be here only, isn't it? The lighter particle will be moving very fast, which means that the molecular weight is less, particles will move very fast. Small kids, they move very fast. One who is fat, having much belly and all, they will be moving very slow. The same molecular weight, if it is more, they will be moving very slow. Molecular weight, if it is less, then they will move very fast. Okay. So from top to bottom, the one which is having the highest weight will be at the top, isn't it? So who is having the highest weight here? Just see who is having the highest weight. 1,25,000. So this protein is having the highest weight. What is that? That is myosin. So the first will be what? The first will be your myosin. Okay. Second one is what? 1,25,000 is over 1,14,000. So second will be insulin. What is the third one? Third one is hemoglobin. Fourth one is your ribozyme. Fifth one is your keratin, and sixth one is your albumin. So albumin will be at the top, followed by keratin, followed by ribozyme, followed by hemoglobin, followed by insulin, and at the front, the first part, when you are seeing at the bottom, it will be myosin. So that is the answer. The sequence of proteins obtained from top to bottom is myosin, followed by insulin, hemoglobin, ribozyme, keratin, and albumin, the order which we have discussed. Okay, fine. Now moving on to the next, what is the gene LAC-Z used as a marker? LAC-Z, you know, they are coding for what? This beta galactosidase. So you have to explain what? Insertional inactivation, okay, as a marker. Fine. What is bioreactor? What are the advantage of stirred tank bioreactor over shake flask? Stirred tank, how it is more good compared to shake flask bioreactor? Show diagrammatically a simple stirred tank bioreactor. In your book you are having the diagram, just practice. Bioreactors, you know, in the large vessel where I am putting my raw material, the microbes, plants or animals is being cultured there, so that the product is obtained, isn't it? So what are the advantage of this bioreactor? You know, stirred type bioreactor, they maintain all the optimum condition like temperature, pH, everything is regulated properly. Okay, that is the point number one. Second point is that small volumes of culture can be withdrawn periodically. So periodically what we can do? We can withdraw. Sampling pots are available, isn't it? You see, we can just take it out and see whether my samples are okay or not, whether it is contaminated or not, that we can understand. So that is the role of this bioreactor. Okay. Next point of advantage is that it is having all the system, agitation system, so that it keeps moving, agitating. Okay. So air supply will be there, often temperature is getting controlled as they are having temperature regulating system. It's not from, it is foam. Okay, so foam, F-O-A-M, foam, you know, like if you are using soap, foam comes, isn't it? So the foam will not be present. So foam control system is present, as well as the pH control system is also present in this stirred type bioreactor. That's why it is basically a good compared to the sprayed type. Okay. So this is the diagram which you have to practice. So in the next class we will be discussing about the 3-mark questions. Hope you have understood the questions which were discussed. If you are having any doubt, you can call me personally. Okay. Thank you. Take care.